Good morning and welcome to Company Culture with Yvette C. Owens, where we explore the behaviors that define you and your organization far greater than anything that you say, anything that you write, any content that you release, even your products. How you leave people feeling is absolutely critical, and how you navigate the changes that you have in your organization within yourself. How do you really navigate through those changes and those shifts, those ebbs and flows? Absolutely determine and allow people to see the real you. Because when we are most under stressed, when we are going through uncharted waters, that's when we may get into those areas of uncomfortability, and we show up some of those things that don't really resonate with us well might come up. And so we want to make sure that you understand. I am an international best-selling author. I'm Yvette C. Owens, your host of Company Culture with Yvette C. Owens. I'm an international best-selling author, speaker, um, and coach that coaches organizations and individuals, excuse me, by teaching the principles of change leadership and the practices of powerful change, not just strategic planning, but all the way through implementation. Today, it's my pleasure to announce that we are in our fourth series. That's right, our fourth year of Company Culture with Yvette C. Owens. It's a pleasure to have served you and my community in this way, bringing ideas around how leadership can be extended and leadership can be more empowered to make the inroads and influence and impact that we want to make in our businesses and our ministries and our communities. That's what I'm here for, to help you understand as a leader. And change always happens, right? But managing and leading through the change is very different than managing and leading your business, your day-to-day business. So in this fourth year, I'm coming to you with my very first book, Company Culture with Yvette C. Owens, Mind, Personalities, and Situations. And I wanted to share some gems from that book with you. It was sparked as I was on a podcast last night, and it really talking about my book. And I'm like, you know what? I need to get back to doing this. I need to get back to sharing about the book. So, what resonated with me to want to share with you today was coming from the section. It starts on page 82 of my book. It's called "Am I Audible?" Am I audible? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? And I remember this scenario so well. I can see it so vividly. I was in a conference room with my peers and colleagues and leaders. We were talking about work that had to come, that had to be done. We were talking about how to get it done. We were talking about if there were any synergies between our teams where we could capitalize and optimize our time and space by having one team do some of the work and others, and how that work that needed to be preceded before someone else's work would really benefit the next team. And we were doing all that kind of planning, which was normal stuff. But for some reason, this day, I was sitting there, and many of you know, you're in the corporate space, and I was in a conference room where we had people also on the screen as well as in the room. That I was sitting right in front of a mic that would allow me to be audible to not only the room but the people on the screen. But every single time I went to say something, every single time someone talked over me. Have you been in that scenario where you're talking and it's not, let me make this clear. I have never been accused, never, never, ever, 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 ever been accused of being soft spoken. Never. Never been accused of not speaking loud enough. Not the case. I've always been um, having a very um, audible voice. Even been told that I have a calming voice, but I've had been told that. So the fact that every time I try to say something, someone would overtalk me then it became very apparent to me that I was in a situation that needed to be conquered. I was in a situation that needed to be conquered. And so I actually said, and I titled this section. You can see I titled this section, am I not audible?" Because that's exactly what I said in the meeting. That's exactly the question I asked. Am I not audible? Can you not hear me? And it's when I said that a peer across the table said, Yvette's trying to say something. And then everybody paused to listen. What took this to the next level where I knew I was being, I'm going to use that word, attacked. Or let me say it this way, disrespected. Because when we're disrespected, that's an attack. That's an attack on your confidence. It's an attack on your credibility. And I knew it because later in the meeting, a gentleman who was on the screen and I was talking and he was trying to get something to say. And he said, "Am I not audible?" So now he's trying to be funny, right? Now he's trying to make jest of the fact that I demanded respect in that room, which should have been given to me anyway, because I'm a peer. A peer in the sense that we all had the same responsibility. Oh, by the way, at that time I was leading 3 teams instead of just 2, which was not the norm. Um, and I was the senior person in the room, not senior in authority, but I had been in the organization far longer than my peers. But I don't tout those. I don't demand respect for those. We had those people, you know, your auntie says, "Girl, you better respect me. I'm your elder." No, I don't. No. You're going to respect me because you understand and honor what I'm bringing to the table, and you understand that that is something valuable. And if you respect me for that, great. If you don't, you're just not a part of my tribe. That's okay. That's cool. Not everybody's going to love you and like you. And I get that. But I had to ask, am I not audible? And then for this gentleman to now take it to the whole nother level, as if he was offended that I just demanded to be respected and heard. Who does that? Unless you really intended to be disrespectful. So it brought me to, that's why this section was so pronounced to me when I was going through it. And oh, by the way, the audible book, the audio book is coming in May. So keep an eye out for it, because I know many of us are too busy to sit down and pick up a book. Many of us are just prefer to listen because we're multitasking and so forth. So the audio book is coming. Yay, the audio book is coming. Excuse me. So I'm going to share with you what I said after that encounter. So preceding with this passage that I'm reading is that encounter that I just shared with you. And I said, you need to decide as quickly as possible whether you are going to be a victim, survivor, or victor. The victim does nothing to counter or stop degrading behavior. It is unlikely there was much self confidence to begin with in this scenario. No change occurs in the victim role. The survivor probably has some level of confidence. However, it erodes with a constant barrage of disrespect, frustration set in due to feelings of hopelessness. Frustration set in due to feelings of hopelessness. I need this job, so I'll keep quiet and express my frustration elsewhere. The survivor is just happy to make it through another meeting. But the victor either confronts the issue head on, demanding respect, or makes changes that demand respect. They rise above the situation far less and receive, they rise above the situation and prove their worth, while others can contribute far less and receive respect just for showing up. The victor is a game changer. And so I wanted to share this because we have a choice. When you are in a situation, in a scenario, you have a choice. Am I going to fall back to the position of a victor, or am I going to be a survivor? I'm just going to make it. I'm going to try to resolve this within myself. But you know what? I don't have the date. I don't have the energy today to fight. I need another day. The victim doesn't try to fight at all. The survivor fights when they have the energy to fight. But the victor says, I'm not the one. No, not today. And it takes diplomacy to do that. I could have come off and said, I've been trying to say something. I've been talking and uh, y'all talking over me. I could have gone right there. But that wouldn't have been fruitful because then they would have, the whole thing about being angry and, you know, all that coming through. That would not have served anyone well. But asking the question, am I not audible? To cause people to pause, look at their behaviors, even in the flipness and the rude response later by the gentleman. The rest of the room heard me, and the rest of the room knew that there was something going on that they needed to pay attention to the point that another colleague said, Yvette's been trying to say something. So I ask you, are you going to be the victim? Because we cannot make the impact that we want to make if we just sit back and let people walk over us and let people kowtow to us. Even when you're thinking about the changes you want to make in your organization as a leader, are you going to listen to that conversation and the rhetoric around, we tried that before, it's not going to work. It didn't work the last time. Why should we do it this time? We've all heard those when you've tried to make changes. They're only trying to make a name for themselves. When you know in your heart of heart that you know that this change will be great for your organization and the people around it. But what do people do? They resist change. They push against it because they like, even if they're miserable in where they are, they like where they are until you can know how to apply the appropriate principles of change leadership and practices that will get them from where they are to better, and then they celebrate you for it. And that's what I bring to you. That's what I bring to your organization, because it is time to change. The way we've done it before is not going to take us to the new in this time period, in this era, in this world that has been upheavaled, where there's so much upheaval. It's not going to get us there. So, are you prepared? Is your organization prepared to really lead the changes that you need? Not trying to usurp or try to define your business strategies, but how do you get those business strategies moving? That's what change leadership does. You are absolutely in full control of where you're taking your organization, what you want to see from a profitability standpoint. You are absolutely in control of how you want to show up in the world personally and to your team and to your organization or to your community or to your ministry. You are absolutely in control of that. But how do I get from where I am to where I need to be? That's where you may need assistance. And my information is scrolling across the bottom. You can reach out to me. That's where I can help you. So that when you make the change, you have people going along with you on the journey of implementation. You have people going along the journey not only of implementation, but expecting and celebrating and championing the change. People will champion the shift in your organization, in your products, in your services when it is implemented and moved and applied in the right way, they will want to be a part of it. They will get ahead of you and champion it and make and let people know this is coming and this is what you want to be a part of. And they'll help you. They'll inform the decisions that you need to make when it's done properly and correct. They will give you information and intel that you would have had no idea about unless those who are closest to your customers, closest to and your staff, closest to your competitors will be able to share with you that before you didn't invite them to the table and didn't know how to do that properly, so that the decisions you make now in going from here to there are absolutely phenomenal. That's what I bring to you and your organization. Whether it's you as an individual leader, I want different for me. Let's conquer those corporate enemies. Let's conquer them. It's a mindset, it's situations, it's personalities. Let's conquer them. Let's overcome them in your change, in your journey to the next. And if you're a business, we're always evolving. We should always evolve. And I apply in my work the proprietary framework called Victor, where I take you from vision to results. Vision to results. Vision, identity, change, team, opportunity leads to results. Today is a day like no other day. Why? Because you're deciding to be audible. You're deciding to go from victim. I'm afraid I don't know if my organization can sustain or be able to manage this change effectively. Will it impact our current profitability? Will it negatively impact our current messaging, our marketing? No. When the principles of change leadership and the practices of change leadership are applied properly, it not only impacts in a positive way what you're bringing forth new, but it will accelerate even what you have going on now. Because I can tell you that you as a leader bring the synergy, you bring the commonality, and we tie it all together so that people know that it's not an abandonment, unless that's where you're going, of what you've been doing, but it's an acceleration, it's an elevation of where you're going. Contact me today so that we can make the inroads, the momentum that you need, whether it's in your style of leadership or bringing something to life that you and your team have collaborated on. No more victims. And this experience with me will let you know that you don't have to just exist and survive. No one should be left in a place of survival. We should be thriving every single day. This is Yvette C. Owens, and this is what I stick by because I believe it takes all of us to create a healthy culture where we all thrive. Bye bye now.